Welcome to episode 65, everybody, of Find Music. And finding music can also mean championing your favorite music. And if you take a look here at Jim Babwe's virtual playlist number 10, I think he's got someone he wants to talk about. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Don. I think it was a comment that you made last week or the week before when we were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the absence of Harry Nilsson, which I hadn't thought about in quite a while. So, I thought if anybody deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that's not in there, he would be one of the very first individuals that would come to mind. And my virtual playlist number 10 here, when I started to compile it, I realized that there were even more songs than are depicted here that I would include. But for the sake of space and just brevity, these are the ones that came to mind. The Three Dog Night song, the one that Three Dog Night made popular and famous, Harry Nilsson's version of that song is just heart-wrenching. It's just a great emotive piece. And then almost everybody that I know who's ever seen Midnight Cowboy knows the theme song to that film. So we were talking about that. I could go into some great details about the other songs here, but
if I can interrupt for a second,
yeah, go ahead.
I understood that Harry Nilsson wanted a different song for the movie.
I didn't catch that.
He wrote the song "The Lord Must Live in New York City"
I
for
get
the movie.
Yeah. Right. And that's a great song too.
Yeah.
They insisted he do the remake of Everybody's Talking.
So basically, one of the things that I did based upon your comment, Don, is I started to look into what are the qualifications or what's the procedure for nominating somebody for inclusion into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I browsed the website pretty thoroughly, and I didn't see any explanation of that process. So on a whim, I just wrote a little email to info@Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think was the address. I didn't think a person would respond to it in any kind of prompt way. However, within 10 or 15 minutes, I got a response. And the response was very understanding and really personal. And the woman who responded gave me instructions about who to write about the possibility of nominating somebody into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So guess what I did?
Yeah.
Let me read this to you. It's not that long, especially for me. Usually I love to be verbose, sometimes redundant, but this is written to John Landau, who is the head of the nominating committee. And I found it interesting that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation is located in New York City when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is located, of course, in Cleveland. So I addressed it to Mr. Landau and the nominating committee, and I said, if Harry Nilsson played professional baseball and was being considered for induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, certain benchmarks would determine whether he was qualified. Did he have over 3,000 hits and win a number of batting championships? As a pitcher, did Nilsson accumulate 300 wins or more? MVP, Cy Young Awards? Based upon those individuals and groups already inducted as members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the benchmarks must be less specific. It's completely understandable that subjectivity plays at least a part of the nomination induction process. In terms of influence, emotional impact, poetic excellence, inspiration, and that elusive quality we call taste, Harry Nilsson should be nominated for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. By almost any existing artistic standard, whether subjective or objective or some combination of both, Harry Nilsson's contributions to music are larger than large. When questioned about American music, John Lennon, who became a very personal friend of Harry Nilsson, he once named Nilsson as his favorite artist. Harry Nilsson not only made music with an astonishing variety of current Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, it would be difficult to exaggerate the degree of inspiration he exchanged with these iconic individuals. Nilsson's wide vocal range, 3.5 octaves, was as impressive as his varied use of style. Listening to his work, it's easy to find wit, playfulness, humor, sophistication, passion, eccentricity, and many examples of varied stops in the emotional territory between sadness and happiness. His cover songs are tributes. They show deep respect for and draw our attention to other artists, including Randy Newman, Irving Berlin, Jimmy Cliff, Bob Dylan, Doc Pomus, Danny Kortchmar, Sammy Vaughan, George Harrison, John Lennon, Ringo Starr, Klaus Voormann, Gloria Jones, Eric Idle, Van Dyke Parks, Lowell George, Alan Toussaint, and Jimmy Webb, among others. My personal favorites, Nilsson Schmilson, Son of Schmilson, and The Point. In no particular order, here's a list of current websites with additional information. I listed like 6 websites where you can find information on Harry Nilsson. And then I concluded with the comment, Harry Nilsson deserves a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Please consider nominating him. And I think we're going to find out how this goes, and I will definitely share those results from you when I get a response.
Okay, I want to chime in on this one because I'm a Harry Nilsson fan too. So I'm going to try to share screen.
Have you ever heard his the album that he does where he covers Randy Newman?
Yeah.
That's a great album. Oh, there you go.
And there's even more.
Yeah, I
All
didn't
right,
include
so-
Jump Into the Fire, or I don't think I included Coconut on here. Did I? Let me take a look. Oh, I'm not sure. It's
Did you
easy
see
to
the
leave stuff out.
documentary on him?
Pardon?
There's a documentary out on him. I think
Oh,
it
I'd
might
like to
be on
see that.
Netflix.
I would like
Yo,
to
it's a
see that.
great documentary.
Really good.
Yeah, it makes a case for his Hall of Fame membership
Oh,
as
excellent.
well.
Does
I
the
think it's
documentary?
called
I just had to
go-
mention some
Who is
favorites.
Harry
Oh.
Nilsson.
Yeah, say that again, Fred.
I think it's called Who is Harry Nilsson?
Yes, that's the name of it.
Yeah, I've seen the title now that you mention it.
Yeah. I just wanted to add some songs, or you may already
please
know
do.
them. All right, I'm late to the game here. I was so young when he had his first hits. But looking back, I bought the very best of Harry Nilsson, which I guess this is an English release, Camden Records. So that gave me a taste of quite a bit. I remember being young and seeing the movie The Point.
Oh,
With
that
Me and
blew
My
me away.
Arrow, which later was used in commercials
Mhm.
for the Plymouth Arrow.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And there's some tasty ones that he wrote, like the Puppy Song, surprisingly enough. And he does great covers of the Beatles. So it's a two-way street there.
Yeah.
There's an unofficial album called Nilsson Sings Beatles. Okay, this
Oh,
is a
wow.
bootleg. It's a bootleg.
Hmm.
And his version of Mother Nature's Son is possibly better than Paul McCartney's version.
Oh, I'd like to
It's
hear
that
that.
good.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And She's Leaving Home is very good as well. The others, they're all right. They're okay. But
I'm looking at this list here that you posted. You're Breaking My Heart was one of the songs that we were forbidden to play at the Cal Poly radio station.
yeah, and that's why nobody knew about it back then.
That's right.
But thanks to YouTube, I discovered it
Yeah, cool.
and laughed heartily. And along with Gotta Get Up, which wasn't on those albums that I bought, CD compilations.
I'm
Found that
trying
on
to remember
YouTube
the
as
name
well.
of I'm trying to remember the name of the song that could have been a companion song to You're Breaking My Heart. Oh, it was Spooky Tooth. And the song is You Broke My Heart, So I Busted Your Jaw.
Did Harry Nilsson do the soundtrack for the Popeye movie?
Yes.
Was a Blanket
I
for a
haven't heard
Sale?
that.
Is that from the movie?
Pardon?
Blanket for a Sale? Is that from the movie?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it sure sounds
seen
like
the
it would
movie.
be, but it's a very nautical song.
But the variety of his work, I mean, and the cover songs, I mean, there's a guy who spans all kinds of styles and influences, and he influenced a lot of people as well. So if I'm not going to mention people who are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that I have questions about, but certainly he should be included, I think.
Yes.
Here's something I didn't know. Who wrote Mr. Bojangles?
I think, was that Jerry Jeff?
I think Jerry Jeff Walker wrote Mr.
I think he did
Bojangles.
too.
That's right.
He did too, yeah. Mhm.
That's been covered by so many artists.
I got to see him at the Palomino in North Hollywood one time, and he opened for Sleep at the Wheel, which is another band that I really like. And at the end of Jerry Jeff Walker's set, now I'm not sure if this was staged in order to get him off the stage or whether it was a real deal, but he got into a fight right there at the very last song, and there's a door behind the stage, and he left through the back door, and we never saw him again. You know, it was
Yikes.
if it was done on purpose, it was ingenious, you know. And if it wasn't,
Wow.
you know, I wonder what happened.
Okay, more easy trivia. He sings a duet, Many Rivers to Cross, with who?
Jimmy Cliff?
With John Lennon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Good
So
one.
that's a great recording. That their two voices are very distinct in that recording. And that they sound like they've been drinking.
You think?
All right. Yeah. All right. I think that's all the trivia I got. But I totally wholeheartedly agree that Harry Nilsson should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In fact, it makes me wonder why not? What
Yeah, exactly.
reasons there possibly?
Right.
Why not? Right.
That's, you know,
Classic songs,
yeah, hopefully we'll
great
find.
artistry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, hopefully we'll get an answer, you know. I mean, if I had to send it via regular snail mail, you know, so I don't expect to get an answer as quickly as I did with the email I sent. I mean, but
Mhm.
if they're as responsive by snail mail as they were by email, I'm looking forward to seeing what they say, one way or the other.
For anyone watching this video, check out Harry Nilsson if you haven't checked him out already. There's so much more than just the hits.
Oh, yeah.